Now then, it's Burnsy, and welcome to our regular curiosity podcast, the CuriosityCast. Every episode, we take questions asked by members of the public in Hull and try to get them the best answers from the very best brains in the city. Not all questions are about Hull. They can be about whatever you want to discover, so make sure you get in touch with us. For this episode, we're going to talk about urges. No, we're not. Well, we're going to talk about one urge in particular, the feminine urge, which we'll explain in a minute with our guest. It's a collective, started in 2024, I think, in Grimsby, and you may have visited their exhibition Devour last year as part of the Freedom Festival. The Feminine Urge are now returning to Hull with their latest exhibition, Mother, which launched a couple of days ago and runs until the 17th of the month on Pier Street in Hull, just off Humber Street. Here to tell us about the exhibition and the collective is curator and artist Lucy Brooke. Lucy, nice to see you. Thanks very much for coming on the Curiosity Cast. The Feminine Urge first collective. Tell us about the collective. What's it all about?
Thank you for having me. So the collective was started by me in 2024. I worked a lot in Grimsby with an arts charity called Arbor Picture. They're really interested in platforming local artists. I'm a local artist and I was working alongside loads of local artists, and I thought we don't really have anything we can work together on. And I thought it'd be really nice if we sort of combine our efforts and do an exhibition. So our first exhibition was in Grimsby in 2024, and it was a very small sort of like grassroots sort of exhibition. And then last year we picked up a lot of steam because we did it with Freedom Festival, and we had Devour, which was a really big show. We had 16 artists in that last year. And now with Mother, which launched a couple of days ago, we have 18 artists.
Right, good. That's impressive. What sort of art do you do?
I'm a painter / like portrait artist, so I focus on sort of people and like autobiographical sort of stories, but then I do sort of things with sound as well. But 90% of my job with the collective is paperwork.
And not painting on it.
And not painting.
And we've not mentioned the collective is female and non-binary, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So it's female and trans inclusive. Just because, like, historically, my background's in art and social research. I'm doing my PhD about women in art at the moment, and historically they're really underrepresented, and there are loads of like really talented female artists in the area, especially in the north, who come from like proper working class backgrounds who don't get gallery space. So we see a gap in the market there.
Why traditionally were they underrepresented, and why didn't they get gallery space, or why don't they get gallery space?
Historically, women weren't able to train. So like initially sort of in the like thinking like anywhere from like the Renaissance to the Romantics in like the 19th century to like Turner and stuff like that, they had the money and the ability to go to work and get paid to train as painters, whereas women stayed home and did things that were more associated with the craft movement. So one of our artists, Rachel Anderson, who's also the producer, has recently undertaken bobbin lace making, which is obviously a very old technique. And it's also an endangered heritage craft at the moment because basically everybody that knows how to do it is dying, and it's not being trained very regularly because there's no funding for it.
Is that the one with the little dangly things where you weave them over?
Yeah. So it's amazing. I'm watching her do it. I can't even sew, and I'm just watching her do it, and it's absolutely like enchanting. And she's being taught by Catherine Lilly, who is a bobbin lace maker. And watching that happen and sort of learning more about that has sort of really highlighted to us that the art that women made sort of 20th century was very much a homestead, a craft, and something that they could make small profit on, but was mostly then historically seen as decorative, things like lace. So they didn't really get gallery space until it became more of a political tool, sort of with documenting the World Wars, with Lee Miller, documenting sort of historical change, and then all of a sudden it became quite a political movement.
Right. I'm trying. I'm trying to think how are you going to make money with the bobbin and the lace making and everything like that? How?
Yeah, so they would make things to sort of sell. So like
do people still buy them?
I would assume so. I've not bought them because I know people that make them, but I have watched the amount of time Rachel has put into what is really quite a small piece, which she won't mind me saying because she admits itself it's small, that she then does like free motion embroidery over, which is another sort of technique that people don't really learn anymore. So she draws with a sewing machine. And watching the amount of time it's taken her and the amount of patience and the amount of practice to produce something that's probably about bookmark sized, you can see why women weren't making very much money off it, and you can see why it's not really seen as a profitable craft.
But it does still sell these days. You see quite a lot of pottery and plates and stuff like that for sale, because it's slightly more bespoke and used as decoration, not as... You wouldn't use a plate that you bought, you'd use it as decoration rather than eating off.
Yeah, it's not a usable object.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely, So it's a piece of art, and they're very often very small numbers, or individual sometimes. So there is a market for that. I've seen that sort of stuff for sale. I haven't seen the lace stuff for sale, but then I've not been looking.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of a decorative sort of like honourable rite of passage thing now than it is a for sale thing.
And will she be part of Mother then?
She is part of Mother. She has done bobbin lace making for Mother, so she undertook it to sort of train, and then has made a piece that she has then combined with machine embroidery.
Right, but will there be a live exhibition? Will she be doing a?
Oh, that's a good point. I should tell her to, shouldn't I?
Well, I think you should. If this is a dying art, and you're telling us you're fascinated by seeing her doing it.
Yeah,
it's beautiful to watch. It really is genuinely mesmerising to watch, isn't it?
Because I don't have a clue what she's doing. It's like witchcraft. We was talking about the other day, and I was like, she had this big pillow and all these bobbins, and I was just like.
And the really good ones, the speed they go at. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's great. There's a museum over in Bradford that's an old industrial museum. It's on a canal. I can't remember what it's called. And they've got somebody in there demonstrating it, because it's an old cotton mill or something. Right. And they've got... so it's got the full process of how wool goes from the sheep's back to being a jumper.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and as part of that, they also had lace making going on. And they've got people who've done it their entire lives in the museum doing it in front of you, and it's brilliant. It's really could have watched it all day. It was lovely.
I know there is a lace group as well. I think they're based in Beverley. There is a bobbin lace making group of women who make bobbin lace.
Right. Okay. So it's still alive.
Still alive, but on the endangered list.
Amy in HU8 in Garden Village has got a question for us. We sort of touched on it because she says, "Is there a big gender disparity in the art world? I'd always thought of it as a comparatively equitable sector. Is it getting to equality now? Is it more equitable?"
It's definitely more equitable than it was historically. I think the difference is that it's easier now for women to get paid, and because we have things like the Artists Union, there is like standardised rates of pay, so there's not so much a pay gap. I think there are more women curators as well, which is really good in the bigger galleries. There are definitely still a lot of men in the industry, which is obviously great, and we need a very diverse industry to function. But I think it's been difficult for women to get represented without it seeming like a political tool as well. I think we have to sort of get past that a little bit, where when we sort of launched this exhibition last year with Devour, we wanted it to make sure that people did feel, everybody felt welcome, and it felt like somewhere that anyone could come and talk to us and engage with the art. And I think people really struggle when you kind of have to emphasise or overemphasise sort of a female involvement, that they can feel a bit excluded, and we're all kind of really aware of that. I think... So
have you changed your message a bit then, and the way you're sort of pushing it forward?
Yeah, I think we try and be... The thing is, I think I've got a bit of an issue with contemporary art generally, because I think it's really inaccessible. I'm from HU8 as well. I think it's really difficult for a lot of people to walk into an art gallery and feel like they understand it or can feel understood, or there's something in the room that they can understand or really engage with. Because some people don't like painting, some people would hear that about bobbin lace making and think that's the most boring thing I've ever heard. And you have to accept that, and you have to be okay with it. And I think by being really interdisciplinary and by really sort of allowing everybody to engage with different media, that's sort of how we've opened up that messaging and thought, well, if we're not in a typical gallery space as well, anybody could stumble in, and I would like them to think that they'll see us in the space because it's all artist run. A lot of the artists will be there on the day and have a conversation with us and find something that they feel represented in, even if it's got a slightly female or gendered angle to it.
Yeah, which doesn't really matter. It's art. Get in there and see what's happening.
Have a good rummage around.
Well, yeah, just it's not going to cost you anything, is it? There's some moments of your time, and you might come out thinking, "Wow!" You might come out thinking, "Blimey, that was a bit balmy, that piece."
And I noticed the exhibition's open all week as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're open every day.
Wet Sunday afternoon. Get straight in there.
We just thought if we're not on a really long period of time, it's not our permanent space, we're not on a really long period of time, it takes us months of work to get to this point, there's no point in us closing on a Sunday.
Absolutely. So what sort of stuff have you got in there? Who's in there? What sort of stuff can people see?
We've got all sorts. So we've got a bit of a local hall legend, Anna Bean, who actually taught me at college. And she taught a couple of us at school and college, and so it's really nice that we get to work with her now. And I work with her on a couple of projects anyway, but she's made a piece for that. She's made, I won't spoiler it too much, but it's like an installation around a doll's house.
Right.
We've got the bobbin lace making. We've got a steel sculpture from our Bradford artist Eve Wright. But Eve's work's about sort of the steel industry, but also like working class women and their identity. So she's made, actually it's even more relevant, she's made a loom out of steel.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic.
And she's recently become a mother. So we've got all these different ties, which is really exciting. So we've got like anything from sort of, we've got a photography installation, we've got poetry in a film, we've got a soundscape, we've got traditional portraiture, we've got kinetic sculpture, so a sculpture that's like properly installation based and moves around.
Right, can you explain kinetic sculpture to me?
Think of whirligigs.
Right.
Do you like little, that kind of... I know it's more complicated than that. But
honestly, Caitlin Smith's the artist, she's Hull-based, she's worked with the Ferrens for a long time. Her work I would describe as like an explosion of like internal organs is sort of how I'd picture it.
Oh, right.
But in a delightful way where it's paint and wool.
Is that why she got sacked from the hospital?
But she uses a motor and she like makes sculptures that spin. It's very interesting.
It sounds like it might be one for the kids, actually. On the subject of children, Bobby in HU11 in the Bilton area says, is this exhibition suitable for children? I enjoyed the last one, but found it a little visceral.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. That's really interesting, actually. Last year we had a feedback book out, and also we were all kind of always there. So we got feedback in hand, which I think is the advantage of if it's artist-led. We can just talk to people straight away. We definitely had some strong language. We definitely had some difficult subject matter, I would say.
Strong language from those displaying their art,
yes,
as opposed to the punters that had come along and signed in the visitors book. Lots of Fs and stuff like that.
No, thankfully just from the artist.
Right.
And we actually, and from my perspective, I've obviously, like I said, I do a lot of the paperwork and the admin, and I'm looking at these artworks for quite a long time, even though they're all custom made for this exhibition. And I was looking at them thinking, I think it's really interesting, and from my perspective I can have a bit more removal from it. And then when people started coming, we got a lot of people were crying, and a lot of people were just having like really full-on responses, which was so lovely, but we were also like very unexpected because we'd done it. So we were just like, wow, okay. So the feedback was very like, everyone felt quite moved or seen, and it was overwhelmingly very like emotional feedback, and we were kind of blindsided by that because obviously we just got used to our own work as artists do, or you're installing it and you get quite used to it and you just see it on the paper and you're like, yeah, you've really engaged with it at some point, but until it's in the space you don't really recognise it anymore.
That must be so gratifying.
It really was. I felt we were really shocked, and I think we were blindsided by it for quite a long time afterwards, and it really motivated us to keep going and make a show this year, because we were originally going to take a little bit of time off, and then we were like, well, no, we have to, because we've got people who want to see it, and that was the number one thing that any artist wants, really. So this year, I wish I could tell you, I don't think it's visceral this year. I think the subject matter in itself is a sensitive subject matter for a lot of people. Like, everybody has a mother. All women have some sort of relationship with motherhood, whether it's as a daughter or becoming a mother or deciding whether or not you want to become a mother. And I think we've got some really, really happy stories from the collective of really like beautiful relationships where their mothers have just really nourished them, and it's been a really beautiful experience, and they speak so highly of it. And then we've also got some really sort of conflicting ideas of people that don't speak to their mothers anymore, people whose mothers have passed, and it's a complicated relationship. So I won't say it's visceral. I will say we expect this one to be quite emotional.
So if you take a 5-year-old, they're not going to run out screaming?
No.
Good.
Definitely not.
They might
not that I've got any 5-year-old.
Well, they might run in screaming. You know what 5-year-olds can be like. What it'll need is a strong mother to go, oh no, you can't give them a clip round the ear, can you?
This is for me.
I sounded like an old bloke there, and I do apologise, Lucy.
And is it, I know the name's mother and the theme's mother, is it literally about mothers, or is it figuratively?
It's kind of both, really. I think people, so what I do is for the brief, we do an open call, so some artists submit, and then we've got some artists who want to carry on from like last year. So we've got some people who've exhibited 3 times with us, and I will supply them with a brief, so the word mother, and then some artists I think tackle that theme really well. So for example, we looked at Tracy Emin, who I think has a really good series on sort of motherhood, and Louise Bourgeois, who did a giant spider that was recently in the Turbine Hall at the Tate Modern, and they're made out of bronze, and they're just these huge spiders that represent to her relationship with her mother. So we sort of supply them with that, and then they will come back to us with some feedback or be like, this is what I'm thinking, I think I want to work with this and this is sort of why, and then we go from there. So people have done everything from a very literal, here's a picture of my mother and I'm going to interpret that in a specific way, or they've gone very, very abstract. So it's kind of both.
Lucy, Sue in Beverley wants to know, how do you select which artists you exhibit? Is it something I can apply for?
Yeah, 100%. So like I said, we do an open call every year. So we'll have an exhibition date. We kind of try and plan 2 years in advance is sort of where we're up to now. We're looking kind of longer scale. Initially, that first group of 10 artists who exhibited with me in Grimsby were people that I'd worked with or people that I admired who I knew were from the Hull and Grimsby area. Because I sort of see that area as really particularly underrepresented and sort of looked down upon by what people might see as like the traditional contemporary art scene, so like London galleries, etc. I feel like we're really underrepresented there. So I sort of selected those and co-worked with those. Last year, we then did an open call, so we asked for people to put applications in. What we asked for is sort of a bit of info about them and sort of where they're based, because we're really interested again in that area and in the northern sort of identity. The work that they do, so what media they work in, because we're really interested in as diverse as possible artwork, so anything goes really. And then sort of things they've done before.
Are you setting out to shock in any way?
I don't think so.
Right, I'm just checking. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, honestly, no. I think people are, surprised maybe, because I think people don't expect a lot of the stuff they come to see. Like last year we had an installation by Paige Graham Buckle, which was tiny caterpillars that she'd sculpted that had human screaming faces, which kids loved because they were also they're on a plinth, so they were at eye height, and they had like crazy screaming faces, which is like really typical of her style. So there's stuff like that, which I think if you hear the word devour, you probably wouldn't think a screaming caterpillar, but she did. And I think there's some stuff this year where it's like, I thought mother, and I didn't really think that, but I think it would surprise you in a nice way, not so much shock.
It's funny because screaming caterpillars do remind me of my mother.
I feel like I need to go on the record and say Paige really likes her mum.
Yeah. I think that's important. Dave was, I'm not sure whether he was non-committal or not there, or he committed very much to one way.
Sorry, I'm in a conversational dead end. I can only apologise. Chuck a question in.
Liz in Hull, in Hessel actually, is there such a thing as male art and female art? Isn't it all just art?
It's a good question. I think there is, but only because there kind of has to be. Historically, there had to be, and there always was a category of like female art. This is art that women would do, like we said, with the sort of things that are more discerned as craft. So, for example, something surprising this year, I think, which it's not really an intentional sort of surprise, but it was an example of us trying to push that boundary a little bit further, is that we have a nail artist in the exhibition who, her job is fingernails. Her job is like gel nail polish. But she really puts a lot of effort and time into designing really, really bespoke, beautiful nails, and started recently 3D sculpting onto nails and doing all these amazing things on these tiny miniature canvases. And I think we spoke to her about the exhibition. She came last year and we spoke to her about maybe her putting an application in, because we thought that's not something that people would look at and think that's art. They would think of it as like, oh, your nails look nice, or they'd think of it as something wearable. But then how is that different to fashion? And then how is that different to anything really? So she was someone that we asked to apply because we had a foresight that would maybe be a bit shocking, but also sort of interrogate that line of like, that's a traditionally female thing.
I've got a great stupid question. I'm going to have to ask it.
I love it.
So, is there going to be somebody sat there with their nails painted?
That is a great question. Or
are the nails painted and put in a little glass box?
So she has this amazing and absolutely disturbing, actually, prosthetic hand.
Oh my God.
And she's made the nails to go on, and she's kind of sculpted around the hand, so it's kind of an installation in and of itself. It's not just the hand. She's worked sort of with lots of different things to sort of make a mixed media piece, but there is a prosthetic hand with nails that are like shoved underneath. It's really, when she was pulling them out, I was very disturbed. But
back to 5-year-olds.
I think they're going to like it.
You've sort of made my mind go a little bit. It sounds good. Again, I come back to, is she going to do a live?
Well, we do a workshop series with every exhibition because we kind of want to show off the artists as much as possible and also get people to kind of engage with the artworks a bit more. So every workshop we start with a tour of the exhibition, and then one of the artists from the collective will lead a workshop based on their specialism. So like Caitlin's going to do a sculpture workshop, but Lucy, the nail artist, recently did an online workshop where she did a demonstration of the work that she does. So we're going to like share some of that online and show her process because it's absolutely fascinating. When you think about how small the average fingernail is and the amount of detail she can get onto it.
But again, if she's 3D printing, she must 3D print the thing and then stick it on the nail.
No, she doesn't 3D print, she sculpts.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood.
No, she uses sort of
but
like...
sculpts... Sorry again, stupid.
No.
When it's stuck on the finger, or does she do it separately and then stick it on?
So she'll use like gel, basically, like gel nail polish clay, and then sculpt something by hand to fit onto a nail.
So it goes onto the nail.
Yeah, and then the background of the nail is often painted, so she has these miniature tip
I don't care about the rest, I'm just coming to see this.
Yeah.
But if that was something where we thought, like, that's something that people, the average person who maybe just doesn't really engage with art that much or just feels however about it, would engage with probably quite regularly. A lot of people have their nails painted. I always get my nails painted. And probably wouldn't think that's an art piece. They'd just think your nails look cool. And I thought that would be a really interesting way.
And does she do this commercially as a nail technician, or
yeah,
does she have a salon then?
So she's called the Nail Shed, so she works in a shed that's sort of like a converted studio in her back garden.
Locally?
Yeah, she's in HU5.
Right.
I've seen her online. She's got an Instagram account or something, hasn't she?
Yeah. And also she's a mother, and that was the other thing with the exhibition was we're like the production team are all under 30. Or just about to turn 30, and we were like really aware of the fact that we don't have children, and we wanted a voice of actual mothers, and that was another angle from her, is that she's a very passionate mother.
If I was a TV producer, I'd be getting her for Dragon's Den.
She's amazing.
Wouldn't you? You could.
I can't stand Dragon's Den.
I know. I knew you were going to say that, and we've never discussed Dragon's Den. I knew you were going to say it, but it's just that sort of. You can see all sorts of possibilities with that. It's very televisual and everything like that. There's a Curiosity film in that.
Have 100%. You got anything?
He's blanked me there.
I'm sure, sorry. There is. Do you know
the
hand with the nails on?
Yes.
Is there any magnifying equipment to look at it? I thought there would be, I'm sure you know.
So we've got magnifying glasses for a few things, including the lace, because obviously the details are so tiny. So we've got magnifying glasses for that.
There you go.
Hannah wants to know how she joins the feminine urge. Sounds lovely.
Yeah, so annually we put out an open call. We say established artists, but it just means that you're regularly practicing. So we just don't want people who basically go for 6 months AWOL and then we're like, have you made anything? We're all practicing artists regularly, even if it's just doodling or sketching or trying something out, like Rachel with her lace making, or taking up a course or just doing anything. So anything that means that you're established and practicing. And then we just look for examples of work. So we put those out at the end of the exhibition cycles. So in this case, it will probably be maybe June time. And then we're looking at an exhibition just over a year on.
Can I ask you what got you into it, Lucy? At what age did you think I want to get into art? I was
homeschooled as a kid, and then I went to school at 14, and I'd always in that time just constantly drawn and always been like making things, and then I've always sort of had a load of jobs. So I've always worked for like different people, or I've had like 3 jobs at once, and I've never settled until I started teaching, until I started working with young people. And when somebody was like, you can just make this into your job, you know, and I thought that's probably not the case for me. Like, I'm sure it's the case for people, but it's not the case for me. And then I thought, well, I'll just give it a go, and I just took the leap because I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could. And then the hard work paid off, I think. Right.
And it's a viable career. Is it more of a viable career for women now?
I think so. I think we were talking about this recently, actually, because we were talking about how when you're a kid at school, when careers come in, it's always like science focused or engineering, or there's like administrative positions or apprenticeships and stuff like that, but there's never really real representation for creative jobs. And I think especially in Hull, because Hull's, I think, really affordable to live in, having grown up here and having had friends who've moved elsewhere, or people that live in Leeds, or the price does soar up. And I think we're in a lucky position where, like, our art scene is thriving. We've got a really, really amazing art scene, loads of supportive people and loads of amazing artists. And I think there's loads of opportunity to get stuck in, to be a freelancer and to try new things without it being as huge a risk as it could be. And there's loads of also networks for you to rely on to get people to help you set up, and that's sort of something that we aim to do. We're working with somebody called Lucy at the minute. There's a lot of Lucys in the collective, with 3 now. And Lucy's a journalist who's just moved back to Grimsby, and we're working with her so she can get some experience in the sector and sort of, not mentor her because she doesn't need it, but to give her that advice from people who are at all different points in their career, because we've got a really big span in the collective. And that's part of the reason we want to be there during the exhibition, is if someone did come in and want to talk to us about it, we're 100% ready to talk about it.
There is a lot of Lucys around.
So many.
We were saying earlier, seems to be a lot of Caitlyns.
There's a lot of Caitlins.
I don't know where all the Caitlins have come from.
Maybe it's our age range. Maybe we've all just grown up and now we're really annoying.
Was there a famous Caitlyn like 20 years ago?
I don't know. Is there a famous Lucy? I can't think of one.
No,
Lucy Lawless? Xena?
Possibly Xena, that'd do it.
Did everybody love Xena that much?
I think Lucy's always been a popular name, though. It was Caitlyn. I don't know where it's all suddenly. Dave was saying there's no Daves anymore.
There's no Daves anymore.
They're gone. Nigel has been knows.
Maybe we'll do a Dave tally during the exhibition. Maybe I'll get people to tell me when they come to the door.
We'll come and stand in the corner and shout mother.
They're called Dave.
One of them clickers.
Yeah.
Count all the Daves in and out.
I'll start a tally on the invigilation sheet. I was like, can you ask this man if he's called Dave, please?
It's only because I noticed you had a Caitlyn in the list of artists.
We do have a Caitlyn, yeah.
And for somebody who's never met a Caitlyn until a couple of years ago, they were all over.
We've got 2 Annas.
We've got 2
Annas, we've got 3 Lucys. It gets confusing.
Yeah. No Daves.
No Daves, not yet.
Are you happy now?
Delighted.
Just a final question. Try to get it back on track and find the end of the programme in an organised way. What does Hull need? You talked earlier about Hull and Grimsby being underrepresented and sort of a little bit ignored by down south and everything like that. What do we need? Does somebody need to throw more money at it, or is it not that? Or do we need somebody to really break through from here on the national scene?
Maybe. I think we've got scope to do that as well with the artists that I know who are from like Hull Council estates, where people just sort of turn their nose up at them, and the work that they make is absolutely unbelievable. And I'm genuinely really humbled by the people we have in the collective, because it feels like I got here on sheer luck just by asking. And I think that's also my number one piece of advice, is just if you don't ask, you don't get. Shy Bane's getting out, etc. You just got to ask. But I think the thing that we really need to sort of unify, I think, as an arts community in Hull, I think there's loads of separate organisations, and I think it would be helpful if there was more openness from them to exhibit more local artists, especially local women. We found it really difficult to get gallery space here, whereas in Grimsby it was really easy because they were really fantastic collaborators. So I think if we were a bit more open to the local artists that are sort of literally on the doorstep, and we don't act like they're just a given because they live here, and actually they're really special and we can really put them on a pedestal and really showcase what they've got. It doesn't have to move out of Hull to be important. And I think the other thing is we just sort of need to communicate better with each other as an arts community, and that was part of my motivation all the time about having this collective, is that we've always got an open dialogue. We're always sharing and co-creating, and we're always making mistakes together. And I think that's forged a really strong bond, which is now between like 5 or 6 cities. And I think it's really important that more galleries take that initiative and remember that without artists, there are no art galleries.
Mm. It's been really enjoyable. I'm off to ring Dragon's Den's producers and say...
I'll let Lucy know.
I only made that. I don't know Dragon's Den's producers. But it seems a good idea, anyway.
Dear Dragon's Den written in crayon.
Yeah.
That'll get it.
It'll be artistic. Thank you, Lucy Brooke, for coming in The Feminine Urge. The exhibition Mother is happening down Pier Street. It's free. You can wander around. It's open till the 17th, just off Humber Street. Go and support it. Go and see what it's all about. Go and think, oh, wow, those nails are amazing. So that's how to stop chuckling away. So that's it. Let's get out of here. Remember to keep in touch with us via curiosityhull.co.uk or follow and friend us on the socials, where we are Curiosity Hull on all the main feeds. We'll be back very soon with more quality answers to whatever question you'd like to ask.